How you doing, Bonnie? How's New Year's treating you? 2024? Can't believe
Uh,
it.
yeah, I can't believe it's 2024. I hope it's much better than 2023. That was filled with a bunch of disasters, not only for Jews, but for the whole world. It seemed to be one huge mess I hope 2024 kind of brings us to a newer level of happiness here and less frustration. So what else is going on? What are we talking about today, Molly?
Right. So today, welcome to Kulanu Matters with Molly and Bonnie. We're excited today to talk about Gaja, which actually began with the Sub-Saharan Jewish African Conference.
It
So can you tell
actually,
us about that?
wait a minute. It actually
Oh, that
started
should have
with a
began
dream.
before.
What? It
Right,
started
right.
with
It
a
started
dream.
pre-COVID.
Right. It started about 2 years pre-COVID when we had this idea and people were asking for it. Why don't these groups ever meet together? And we said, what a great idea. We need to pull them together in one space. And what was very surprising is that Jews in Ghana did not know there were Jews in Cameroon or did not know there were Jews in Tanzania. So these groups were not familiar with each other. So about 2 years before COVID, we decided, okay, let's make a plan. Let's pull them together. Molly, our executive director, was the leader, and she has now amazing skills of pulling together international conferences. Molly,
And
go
getting
tell
visas
us.
for 50 people. So that was a complete pleasure the entire time trying to make that website work over and over again.
Yeah, and tell how difficult it was to get everybody's contact information and their visa information and their
Yeah,
passport information so Molly
right.
can make airplane reservations.
That was quite an interesting process because everyone had multiple names. So there are names that people are born with, then names people choose, and then names that are now Jewish. So it's lots of people are known by multiple different names. Their first, you know them by their last name, even though they go by their first name and things like that. So we had to have one column that actually listed the name we knew them by, one column the name that was on their passport, and then we had to make sure we had everyone's passport information that was actually going to let them get onto the plane. So that was quite the challenge to make it work out for the 50 plus people, but somehow magic happened and surprisingly everyone came.
And what was really interesting is that when they got there, two things. One, some never rode an airplane before. So this was a very new experience. But the big major thing was they didn't know each country existed with a Jewish population. And it was the first time that they got to meet each other and celebrate Shabbat together and everything. But I'm rushing. Let's talk about who were the people. This was by invitation only. Who were the people that we invited that got this invitation? And you should know the people that were invited were all of international notice. People, you Google them and you can see they're all in Wikipedia. Okay, so okay, Molly, who is the first one we want to mention?
Sure, but I also just realized we never spoke about the 10 countries that were there.
Oh
So I think
yeah,
we should
okay. Okay.
start there and then we can get to the actual people. So we invited people from different Jewish communities all across Africa, Sub-Saharan Africa. So we had Nigeria there, Kenya there, Madagascar, Ghana, Zimbabwe, Tanzania, Cameroon, Uganda, and Ethiopia. And the conference was held in Cote d'Ivoire in the Ivory Coast. So we brought, you know, all these people together from across Africa, and we included honored guests and speakers, including
Uh,
Clive Lawton,
okay, I'll
right?
tell you about Clive. Clive is the executive director of the Council for Jewish, Commonwealth Jewish Council, sorry, the CJC. And in the UK, when countries left, under colonial rule, they set up a Commonwealth Council. And there was one seat for Jewish communities that existed under the in the Commonwealth at some point that had remnant Jewish communities, such as Zimbabwe, such as I believe Pakistan, and so we invited Clive, who is the executive director of the CJC. And what was one of the interesting things that he did, among many, beside creating a constitution that they could vote on, was to bring a video of King Charles, he was Prince Charles at the time, that gave greetings to the group and members of the CJC. So that was sort of a highlight that kicked off the beginning.
Right. That was amazing to see that video and, to feel like royalty was among us. It was great. So we also had Rudy Rockman come with his whole team there. So they were actually working on the film. So that was a really exciting part of the conference. It was great that you're able to make that connection.
Yeah, Rudy Rockman is internationally known. Everybody should Google him. He spells it Rochman. He actually is a young person. I think he's under 30. He might have turned 30 already, who advocates for lost tribes and emerging Jewish communities around the world. And he's done big documentaries that he's negotiating even with Netflix to put on. And he came to videotape. We also had Tudor Parfit. He's another one you can Google.
Right, another wow, yes.
Yeah, he's another wow. And Tudor interviewed Professor Parfit from Florida International University. He actually interviewed lots of people, and it was a great honor to have him also attend.
Right, and we had the two Aries.
Oh yeah. Oh, we had actually a bunch of rabbis attend.
Okay. Many rabbis, yes.
Right. We had Rabbi Ari Zivotofsky, Rabbi Ari Greenspan, Rabbi Gerald Sussman, and Rabbi Eliyahu Birnbaum. And 4 of them, except for my husband, live in Israel, and they're connected to Or Torah Stone in some way, Rabbi Riskin's yeshiva and other yeshivas. Rabbi Ari Greenspan gives classes for Kulanu online weekly. Yes, I think we covered everybody.
Yeah, no, those are many of the stars that were there, yes.
Okay. So what actually, we didn't talk about fundraising for this and how complicated that was to budget, because everybody's airfare was paid for, everybody's food and lodging. The preparations in Cote d'Ivoire were amazing. We should mention that Professor Yehuda Fierman was the chair in Cote d'Ivoire and arranged to have the conference take place there, which had many complicated pieces. There were hotels, there were student lounges in universities that needed to be arranged and rented so that all of our people had a bed and all of our people had meals. We had Shabbat together. One of the main things was Rabbi Greenspan taught about how to slaughter kosher animals. And I'm 200 chickens, I think.
Yes, right. 200 white chickens walking around the conference, right? Who can forget that?
I couldn't watch. I think he did a goat or two goats, maybe, right? That's for the strong in heart, the fearful, fearless, who can actually watch the killing of animals. Before that, we had purchased the proper knives and the proper grinding stones to make the knives sharp. And Gave a bunch of classes on how to do that. Actually, we ate the kosher chickens on Shabbos, and we had the lamb too. And there were recipes. The preparation to pull together all of this was totally amazing. Okay, Molly, what else can we talk about the conference?
Right. I mean, I think another important piece of it was the giving out of all the donated items from Kulanu. So we often have people, volunteers that tell us about a shul that, is in need of donating items. So we come in and, they donate Torahs to us, Talisim and Sidorim. And so those materials were able to get a new home and live on. So it was really great to see the communities just rejoice in getting these Jewish artifacts, into their hands.
Yes. Oh, and what did we culminated in a big, Hanukkah, lighting the menorah together.
Right, right. So that was
It's the first
the
night of
first time, right. So that was the first time that the SAJA, which is the Sub-Saharan Jewish Alliance, which was formed. You want to tell us about that? Because the first thing that they actually did as a SAJA was that they distributed those items and selected which community should receive the Torah. That was the first thing they did officially as a alliance. So do you want to tell us about SAJA? Because I know that was really your dream.
Yeah, well, I would say I had a dream, and the Sub-Saharan African Jewish Alliance came to be. And it's been an interesting experience for everybody involved. I mean, the actual conference was like a love festival. People really, they all you did, there was hugging and loving, and like they found each other. OMG, there are other Jews here in Africa. Holy camole. It was like a big wow and a big whoop for everybody. And we're in contact with most of them. They set up a new website. I just saw it for the first time, that tries to link the communities together and what they do. They share resources. They share life experiences, and they share what their challenges and successes are. Like a few years ago, I had an aha moment that the same kind of work that goes into sustaining Jewish communities in America are the same issues that they deal with in Africa. Setting up a community is setting up a community. So they worry about how do they pay their bills, who's going to pay for the kiddushes, what kind of Jewish education, providing Jewish education. Oh, that's a great idea for another podcast, Jewish education. And it's the same challenges. And so they shared information about that. The big questions which they talked about was, who do they date Jewishly? And they talked about maybe at some point setting up a Jewish dating app for people to meet. They talked about a big problem is getting visas, how they should get visas to Israel and America. We've had big challenges around visas. Those are some concerns they had. Getting new membership. One of the things
Right.
that we thought would be a great idea to spread the word of these communities is to buy time on the radio so they can broadcast. And I said, oh my gosh, there's so many things they could broadcast. They could broadcast about Jewish holidays, about Jews in Africa, about their community, about Israel, about the Parsha, about interfaith dialogue. I mean, it's endless. So I think this coming year will bring about some more Jewish radio programming through SAJA.
Right, that's great. And SAJA's even continued to expand. So in Cote d'Ivoire, we had 10 countries represented, and now it's all the way to 12 with Gabon and Zambia now being included in SAJA. So they're really, are on their way, like a fledgling organization, but really making great strides.
Yeah, the countries, they're even, they're strengthening one another, chazak ve'ematz, we heard that during October 7th, during that time period, they even shared information on soldiers that passed away, and they prayed psalms, Tehillim, in memory of the soldiers and blessing the Israeli army. And they did see a rise in anti-Semitism. I believe we heard something like that, right?
Right, right. We spoke about that at the last podcast, the reactions and how they've been feeling. But, the prayer, the prayers and the sharing of the names of the hostages, and so they could all pray across the continent was amazing.
Yeah, there's so
We
much
also
going.
had the Saja reunion. So
Oh, talk
we
about the
had
Saja
the
reunion.
Zoom,
And
right?
you could talk about the Saja reunion and talk about the two major articles that were covered about the Saja conference.
Right. So we had the reunion for the conference last month. So that was really great to see everybody again and to have them reconnect and to meet again with Dr. Rabbi Ari Greenspan when he gave a talk about, reading from a Torah that needs repair. So it was really informative and helpful for everyone to understand what was happening and, get to see each other again and have updates on what Saja's been doing and see the brand new website. So that was great. And then we also were able to kind of reminisce about the conference and we're able to take a look back at the articles and great press that we were able to see. So, one of the top ones we had from the Jewish News Syndicate was from Avi Kumar, the Sub-Saharan African Jewish Alliance formed in the aftermath of Kulanu conference. So I think that kind of, sums it up that, from this conference, it like birthed this amazing, alliance that continues, a year after the fact and is continuing to grow and bring on new communities and new countries and really helping the Jewish communities in Africa thrive. And it's really, being led by them. They have their own government council. Each community has a person. Each country has one person that represents that country. So they're really working together in a strong concerted effort in order to make it so that they're able to continue on and have a strong foundation for, speaking for Jews all across the continent. So it's been a really impressive to watch it from the sidelines and, help them along as needed. And I know there was another article
I
that
know.
was
So this is a
done
plug
by
for
yours
my husband.
truly.
Yes, this is a plug for my husband's Times of Israel blog. He wrote up about the Saja conference. If you want to read it, it's Rabbi Gerald Sussman in the Times of Israel blog. You just need to Google it. This is also a plug for anybody who wants to write for their local newspapers or have some kind of blog site that's interested in writing about African Jewish communities. We're really eager to work with you or to work with anyone who wants to somehow promote or have a discussion, public discussion, or a meeting in a federation. If you want a program about Kulanu communities, that would be really exciting and beneficial for us.
Right,
Oh,
right. No, I think that's great to let everyone know about that because that's really how people find out about Kulanu. That's the word of mouth. People find it very exciting to learn about these Jewish communities that are happening all over the world, just like the Africans found out about the different African Jewish communities. Everyone kind of is excited to find another Jew and have these conversations and learn from one another. So it's really nice when we're able to have a program at a synagogue or a community center and, talk to people that are interested in learning more.
yeah, I kind of want to say that I think we're diversity central in terms of the Jewish community. And if you're interested in what's diverse in the Jewish community, you'd like to look at kulanu.org or, I think it's Kulanu Inc. actually, and look at our website because we're in 33 countries. And if you want Jewish diversity, you have it right all on one web page, actually.
Right, right. It really is the central place. And you can look at the map and just see it, lit up across the world. It's amazing. And I think, really, as our accounting team just told me, like the depth and the breadth of Kulanu's work is so impressive. It's really powered by volunteers. Thank you, Bonnie. And everyone on our board and all the volunteers, across the world really that are helping out to make this happen. So it really is, powered by everyone working together and, all of us. So it's great.
Okay, Molly, so what's coming down the pike for our next
Right. So
podcast and future?
right. I liked your idea of doing a Jewish education. So I think that should be our next podcast. So check it out. Yeah. Later on this month, we'll have another podcast, hopefully about Jewish education and what's happening in our different different communities. And also later on this month, we're going to be having another kind of different program in person with the Hidden Jews of Ethiopia. We're going to be watching that film and having a Q&A with,
Malka
so
Shabtai, yes.
yeah, Malka Shaftai. So we shall meet her and also someone from the Ethiopian community, and we'll have a Q&A session with Malka Shaftai, the film's producer. So she will be there as well as someone from the community to talk to us. So that will be a program that we're doing on Zoom later on this month in January. So thank you very much. And thanks for joining us at Kulanu Matters. And we look forward to seeing you next time.
Kulanu Matters with Molly and Bonnie. Bye, everyone.
Bye. Kulanu.org. So it's KULANU.org/donate.